Hello, Rob. So today I want to talk about why college is better. Now, college is better than high school, specifically on time management. In high school, you're in class for 40 hours a week on average. 9 to 4 is the public school hours of Texas. Now, it may be different, private schools, whatnot. Well, let's just say for this example, we're going to use 40 hours as the average time spent in class. Now, let's say you're actually involved in something like an extracurricular activity. Let's say an hour and a half outside of school every day, you're doing something else. Doing something else that isn't homework. So with an hour and a half of extracurriculars, we're seeing 7.5 hours spent outside of school, not studying, not doing homework. High school has you physically in class or doing something active in the high school for 47.5 hours a week. That is more than the common workday of an American. So we see here that there's a lot of opportunity costs going into play. Public school is not costing you anything. It is still costing you time spent out where you could be in a job making more money, or you could be studying things that actually matter to you. To say that science and mathematics and basic literature and English or extracurriculars like band, theater, and art don't matter to some people, but we can definitely see that in college you really find out what you like to do. You find yourself. Now, the reason why you find yourself is because they actually give you time to prioritize. In the colleges that both you and I go to, students would only endure about 15 hours on average of in-class time. Now, 15 hours is 32.5 less than the time spent in high school. With 32.5 hours, a whole another day and a half of time almost, we can devote to literally whatever we want. Now, some people will go on to say that this devotion of time is harder, but for me, I found it to be much easier just because I'm more independent of a person. The impersonality of college is what I've come to love, actually. Many of my friends are finding themselves consumed by this impersonality and not doing well. They're struggling to make friends, they're struggling to be in the scene, they're struggling to be the main social counterpart of every party. Now, I do want the same thing sometimes, and I find myself sometimes sitting alone on a Saturday night and I'm just like, okay, I need to really get some friends. But at the same time, I enjoy not being bothered. I enjoy finding myself studying whatever I want and finding what's meaningful to me as a person. In high school, I was never really challenged, mostly because everything was concrete and there were set plans by Texas that required me to learn certain things that probably aren't going to be ever useful to me in the future. I found myself actually enjoying my time was in English class. My thoughts would be challenged and I could see other perspectives than my own. When we read literature, we are able to hear the stories of introverts that don't want to come face to face. Yet at the same time, it's the most exposing thing I think you can ever do, is reveal your own thoughts to someone else. Now, reading The Great Gatsby and The Scarlet Letter and Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice probably weren't my favorite things. However, the discussions in class would force me to read them and force me to appreciate their value. Now, The Great Gatsby is probably one of my favorite books just because of how symbolic it can be. The book of Fitzgerald made me challenge my beliefs, especially about America and especially about achieving my aspirations. This impersonality allows me to amplify my strengths because I can find myself doing what I couldn't do in high school, which was having 32 hours to do whatever I want. Now, in college, things really do matter. At the same time, I still feel this anxiety that I'm wasting my time here, that I want to be in Hollywood, collaborating with actors and other directors, making beautiful masterpieces, and convey my perspective to other people as you try to do through your writing. So upon this anxiety, I decided to look at the beginnings of other directors. Now, Christopher Nolan, director of The Prestige and Dark Knight and Memento and other things that we love, is in his 40s, and he did so after studying English and becoming a writer. Tom Hooper, director of Les Mis and The King's Speech, didn't really get his start until he was 29, when he directed a BBC costume drama, something that has to do with cold. I can't remember. Wait, hold on. Love in a Cold Climate. That's it. And Zack Snyder, director of Man of Steel and 300, didn't get his start until he was in his early 30s, and now is in his mid-40s, whereas I thought he was like 20-something. You see from these three directors that their starts didn't begin until well after my age. So I'm sitting here with all this anxiety, and in the reality, I just need to appreciate the grind of college and not be so anxious to be in Hollywood. My ambition as a film director shouldn't really cause me anxiety. I should just realize that this education will be more important as time goes on. So Rob, I want to know what your favorite part of college is. You being a senior, you've experienced much more than I have, but there probably is a little bit of a difference between what you and I favor. So once you've answered that question, feel free to talk about whatever you want. I will see you on Wednesday. Hump Day!